Islam. Islam. Islam Moors. These Moors interrupted my breakfast this morning. So we're gonna deal with the issue that's at hand right now. Woke up this morning, did the usual, come on my Facebook and I have a message from 11 hours ago, right? Well, 11 hours ago, and from Wednesday, right? The message is from a Nigger Moor by the name of Nanya Ak Heru L, NANYAAHK HERUEL, right? And this was his message. It is apparent from these fake Moors that the fact is these elders, grand sheikhs, sheikesses, adepts, ministers, muftis, etc. have absolutely no interest in assisting their Moor brothers and sisters. The congregations need only look directly at the heads of the temple to see the source of the confusion, chaos, and disorganization. For Adwo L to take down posts, get caught and called on it, and then take down posts after being questioned, knowing that he is being watched, because he did not expect me to question him on the removal of the links, facts important to Moorish, indigenous, Mennonites, indigenous peoples on turtle island, Atlan, Amexum, speaks to the level of conspiracy against the indigenous people of this hemisphere and world getting true and correct knowledge and information now. I said before and stand on my statement that most of these so-called Moor scholars, elders, grand sheikhs, sheikesses, adepts, ministers, muftis, etc. are agents. The Prophet Noble duRty was correct. This is now the day and time for new Moors shall put you, O Moors, on the side and carry out my law. And then there's a link. U.S. Supreme Court issues landmark decision. Constitution is void. Right? And that was basically at 2 a.m. this morning that he sent these. Well, not the Wednesday one. The Wednesday one was obviously from Wednesday. But the link that he's sending me is from 2 a.m. Right? So 2 a.m. these brothers are up, right? On some homo, faggot, go in the coffin, butt in the ass, temple Moors type of vibe. Right? Because if you're not studying between 11 p.m. and 4 a.m. or not sleeping, you are wasting what Allah blessed you with. So the fact that you're up at 2 a.m. in the morning proves to me, right, that you're very inept. And the fact that you're that inept isn't why I'm putting out this class or session. The reason I'm putting out this session is because, according to you, for Adwo L to take down the post, get caught and called on it, then take down post after being questioned, knowing that I'm being watched or whatever, like you're CIA or something, right? The only reason you'd be watching me like that is if you're CIA, or if, and this is what I've been telling the Grand Mufti, for that these Moors in Fezes, right, are COINTELPRO agents that work for the Inquisition that killed the Prophet Noble duRty. Right? If he's going to call that Grand Sheiks aren't doing their job. I'm a Grand Sheik, and I know I do my job. You can't say that I don't do my job. And if you're trying to call me out and saying that I'm not doing my job, let's see who's not doing their job. Right? Let's really put it on the record, Nanya Akheru El, because I haven't seen anything from you that's yours that you posted. Everything that you're posting is somebody else's shit. Right? So we're going to deal with you dirty nigger Moors. Right? And Noble Drew Ali said, yeah, if your brother does something to you, don't call him a nigger, call him a dirty Moor. Acknowledged. You haven't done anything to me. What you're doing is harming the nation. That's why you're a nigger. And that's why I can call you a nigger, because what you're doing has nothing to do with what Noble Drew Ali brought and what Noble Drew Ali told the people. Now your boy, Nanya Shabu El, another full colon David Will Miller student Moor, that likes to put the European perspective of sovereignty into Moorish science, thinking that they're relative when they're not relative. There's no connection between the UCC, sovereign, citizen, free man on the land, European concept of sovereignty, and Moorish science. The only reason there is a so-called sovereignty movement is because of brothers like Taj Tariq Bey and Elihu Pleasant Bey, who are elders now, but when they were young, they were going to the same classes that these European sovereigns were going to. And now the European sovereigns took Moors' nationality and birthrights, and they're going out there and exercising things, and Moors are looking at that, thinking that that's the salvation, and trying to implement that into what Noble Drew Ali brought. When Noble Drew Ali told you that we're not here to amalgamate with these guys. We have our own stuff. They have their own stuff. So let them use their stuff, and you study. Study, study, study. And when you get to that point where you think you know it all, you better start studying again, because you don't know anything. Right? These Moors are playing with you people's birthright. I'm telling you that. Shabu El, Lord Abba, Marrakesh, Aboriginal Law Firm, ISIS, all these so-called Moorish groups that don't show any type of allegiance to the Moorish Science Temple of America, the Moorish Divine National Movement, the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, are frauds, are infiltrators. It might be indirectly, they might not be doing it personally, but guaranteed that if you're not repping the Moorish Science Temple of America, because that's your organization, or if you're not repping the Moorish Holy Temple of Science because that's your organization, and if you're not repping the Moorish Divine National Movement because that's your organization, and you're not repping it because of some dirty Moor telling you that the Constitution is suspended, so because the Constitution is suspended and Noble Drew Ali said enforce the Constitution, everything that Noble Drew Ali said is void, and you need to follow this dirty Moor, this nigger Moor. You guys keep playing. You don't see these earthquakes going on and all this stuff going on down where y'all at? We're in the north. We don't get cyclones and all those type of stuff up here. We don't get tornadoes. If we get a tornado, that's wow. That's a big deal. That makes the news. Right? We don't get hurricanes and all that stuff up here. The last winter was one of the warmest winters in the history of these territories. There's places that see 10 feet of snow that only got 2 feet of snow last winter. Noble Drew Ali warned the Moors about all of this. Since 1913, warned all the Moors about this. I don't care what you call yourself today, but back then, when you were Moors, he warned you about all this. And all these leaders that this dumb nigger Moor is talking about are the same ones that you people are following. Right? Why? Because this is what Noble Drew Ali said. Following our leaders. So this is the prophet talking. Right? Why is he making this statement for? Right? Why is he making this statement? The thousands of Moorish Americans will follow their leaders, regardless of propaganda put forth by those who have designs to hinder them in the work for the advancement of their people. Right? That's Canaanland Moors. Because we do for the people. We don't do for ourselves. We don't do for emoluments. We don't do for paychecks. Right? If we want a paycheck, we get a job. Or we exercise what the Most High gave us, and we make our wages from that. But we don't sit in the seat of the Moorish divine and national movement as heads and perpetrate a fraud of, well, this is what my job is, so I have to, when I get to dip into the fund or the treasury to get paid. You can go ask our treasurer. Right? She's the only one that touches the books. We don't touch the books. No head in the Canaanland Moors grand body touches finance other than the treasurer. And the only reason that somebody else would not touch finance is if the only reason somebody would touch finance is if the treasurer isn't there, isn't present. Right? And because everybody in the Canaanland Moors grand body studies every administrative function, we can hold any post if there's a post vacant. This is what the Mufti has done with I Am Courage. That he set up an organization, I Am Courage, that he uses, exercises, based on his Aboriginal indigenous status as Moorish American. And when he's not there, there's other people who are Moorish American that are part of that are willing to run the class when he's not there for no emolument either. Because this has nothing to do with emoluments or getting big up. We don't need props for this. We're supposed to be doing this from 1913. I'm not supposed to be going through all this right now. This is supposed to be done with. But because of dirty nigger Moors, like this brother Nanya and all these other Moors that are using everything that Noble Drew Ali brought, but they don't want to give honors to Noble Drew Ali. They don't want to recognize him. They don't want to put him on the front. They just want to put him by the side and pretend like they're repping him when they're not repping him. Because they're not doing nothing what he said. Right? We will not stop to question the requisites, qualifications, nor anything else, so long as our leaders who have investigated and passed on the course of action which we feel is enough endorsement for us to act. We have long known that the first attempt to crush the leaders of any movement or organization is to plant dissension among their followers. So how do they do that? So we had this lecture with Nanya, Shabu L, :Moor. Right? I personally called the brother and told him, been watching your information on YouTube. Right? You need to do what is Canada, who is the Queen presentation. Right? He said, no, I'm not doing it because people aren't ready for what I have. I'm like, bro, you have information and you need to present the information. So we'll create the platform. All you have to do is have a webcam and do the lecture. Okay, fine. Right? Did the flyer, sent him the flyer, email me back, oh, I think the font is to this, this is to that, they can't see the picture, they can't see this, okay, fine, bam, edit it some more. This is stuff that, isn't out there, but people have to know now what really is going on, right? Sent it back to me again, after I made the correction, sent it back again. Oh, you left out the colon, you left out this, that, bam, 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 okay, fine, bam. You know what I mean? Like maybe 3 or 4 emails before he was finally satisfied with the flyer, right? Mind you, he could have did a flyer on his own, right? But we don't do this for emoluments, right? So now the lecture comes, set up the Skype, right? You know, it's on YouTube. Canaanland Moors presents Nanya Shabuel. Right? You can go look at it. The evidence is right there. He talks maybe about half hour or so on the Canada perspective, right? The Queen perspective. And then starts delving into his demonstration, what he does, who he is, right? And then it gets to this point where he starts talking about, well, you know, the Constitution suspended, and that all these Grand Sheiks and Taj Tariq Beys and you know, it's all on there, right? Calls out everybody, says that we're lying to the people, they're lying to the people, and that because the Constitution is suspended and we're keeping that secret, we're agents and liars, right? And that the people need to know the truth. So in order for, you know, the people to know the truth, they have to have the right information, right, from the right people. And he's basically, you know, saying that he's the person, quote unquote, like he's the guy. Forget what everybody else said. This is what he's saying basically, right? He's the guy. He is the chief that everybody's supposed to be behind, because his organization, which is a nation, is recognized by the UN, and he's been to meetings and they call him, right? And the Constitution suspended, and that no one is going to be able to be assisted by him until they dissolve their contract with Canaanland Moors, Moorish Science Temple, because the Moorish Science Temple is a fraud, etc., etc., right? We don't know what we're doing, right? So that move right there, right? That move was, we have long known that the first attempt to crush the leaders of any movement or organization is to plant dissension among their followers. That move planted so much dissension amongst the members that the even Mufti, right, who is the numbers person, right, he's the one that checks everybody at the door, so he knows what the numbers are, is telling me that the numbers are dwindling in the temple. You know, as much people aren't coming out as they were coming out, right? Because propaganda being used to cause dissension among the membership, and half of that is on the membership, because the membership don't study. They want to play follower games instead of studying what Noble Drew Ali brought them. And a few people, you know what I mean, sucked up, humbled themselves, right, and really understood what went on by following what Noble Drew Ali said, right, by reading what Noble Drew Ali said and putting pieces together for themselves to see that certain people are out here posing as heads, but they're running a fraud. Obviously running a fraud. But it's not obvious to those who don't study. So that's why we're putting this out there, so people know what the hell's going on. Because nobody knows what's going on in the Moorish movement if you're not a member. If you're outside and looking at this, you just see, oh yeah, there's all this confusion, I don't want to be part of that. You're part of this. You have no choice but to be part of this if you're Negro, black, colored, African, Jamaican, Trinidadian, St. Lucian, Guyanese, Mexican, Puerto Rican, etc., etc. You have no choice but to be involved with this. You're more. Whether you're involved or not is not what the point is. You're involved. Just like we know that there's grass outside, but we don't pay attention to grass, right? Unless we're, you know, unless that's the service that we're providing, taking care of grass. Other than that, we don't care about grass. But we know that it's there, and it's been there for millions of years. Just like your birthright, it's been there for millions of years. And people are using that and trying to tell you that the only way you have access to it is if you join their thing, when that's not what Noble Drew Ali said. He said that this is your movement. There's no hierarchy in this. There's no one head person. That one head person is a representative for everybody. that claims to be Moorish American, that representative is not just for themselves. That's not a post. You're a fiduciary. We're all fiduciaries. We have an obligation. And we haven't been living up to that obligation. Why? Because dirty nigger Moors are the ones that are causing confusion. It's not the active Moors. The active Moors are the ones that you could only find stuff out there. The active Moors are the only ones that have a website that you can go to and buy something. The active Moors are the ones that you can call on the phone and you're going to get them. And you can have a conversation. A Moor linked me on Facebook from the Netherlands. He didn't link none of these dirty Moors. He went to the Canaanland Moors website. He went to Kudro Adwo L's Facebook. Right? Why? Because everywhere else that he went, they're trying to sell him his birthright. Everywhere else that he went, of somebody that has a fez on and sent them a message, they tried to sell him his birthright because he's in the Netherlands. And they think he's out there. So they can pump some crap into him and have him think that what they're pushing is really what it's about, when that's far from the truth. And these dirty nigger Moors need to be called out for their violations against the Prophet and the nation. It's nothing personal. I don't really care about you, Nanya. None of you Nanyas. Personally, I don't care. Because I already know your position. You already, it's on the record. That's why I put it up on YouTube. That's why I held it, actually, right? Because Nanya Shabuel was pushing I should put up the lecture. I'm like, yeah, no problem. I'm going to put it up. My computer's not working. As soon as my computer's working, I'm going to put it up, right? Now it's up. So it's on the record. It's there for you to go watch and hear for yourself the fraud that these guys are talking out of their own mouth that you're buying. Because what is speaking? Speaking is language. Language is letters. Letters is words. Words is spelling. And people are running some serious sorcery right now with because we're scientists. I'm telling you, we're scientists. Yes, we deal with the Orishas, and we deal with candle magic, and we deal with tarot cards, we deal with astrology, we deal with occult, Wicca, witchcraft, nature worship, like everything. Nothing is omitted with Moorish Science. Everything is involved in this. So don't think that we don't have divine intervention letting us know what's going on before stuff happens. Right? Why do you think we always checkmate you nigger Moors? You think we're not playing. We have nothing to do with the game. This isn't Kudro Adwell talking to you. This is the Orishas talking to you. You can take heed or you can do whatever you want to do. But Kudro Adwell have the time for this. Right? When you become a Moorish American, you become a Moorish scientist. When you become a Moorish scientist, that means you're in tune with nature and the universe, period. If you're not in tune with nature and the universe, then you're not a Moorish scientist. Simple. You can wear a fez, you can talk crap about your full colon or whatever, but you're not a Moorish scientist. You're just another Moor out there on the lower degrees of Moorish science. It's nothing personal. But for you to be up at 2 a.m. sending me messages about Constitution suspended, right? And now, where's this idea coming from? Like, let's go right now, right? Let's deal with it right now, okay? So, U.S. Supreme Court issues landmark decision. Constitution is void, right? Now, where is this coming from? Who is this coming from? This is coming from the same agent, Alex Jones' website, Infowars.com. So these are people in turbans and fezzes, right? Which, to the international community, if you're wearing a turban and fez and you're calling yourself a Moor, then you're going to follow the principles of Noble Drew Ali. Noble Drew Ali said enforce the Constitution. These Moors in fezzes, turbans, Moroccan flags, Circle 7, whatever, right? Creating their own flag, creating their own nation, saying this. All these individuals having organizations and saying that they can nationalize people and all that. Excuse me, right? All those people are on the side of using European pseudo-sovereign concepts with Moorish nationality and birthrights, right? So these Moors, these nigger Moors, because they're Moors, they're just niggers, right? Everybody's Moors. There's Moors and there's blacks. There's Moors that say they're Negro. There's Moors that say they're colored. There's Moors that say they're Trinidadian, Jamaican, African. There's Moors that say they come from some other planet, right? But they're all Moors. Regardless of what they call themselves, that's what they are, Moors. Go ask a Sri Lankan and a Pakistani, what are you called collectively in your country? We are called Moors. Who's the descendants of those people? The Mauryan dynasty. Who's the people in the Mauryan dynasty? The Mauryan dynasty are the people who were the ones that brought the concept of tea to Ceylon. This is why if you go with your fez on to somebody who's Hindustani or Ceylonese or wherever they say they come from in South Asia, they will gladly and willingly offer you tea with cookies, and they'll give you their holy books to read. Standard. That's just what they do. That's just part of their culture, right? But that came from the Mauryan dynasty. So it's not just about Noble Drew Ali, but it's about recognizing that he resurrected something and acknowledging that. And he was resurrecting the fact that you weren't only, your jurisdiction isn't only over there across the Atlantic. Your jurisdiction extended also over here. Even if you want to say that you're a slave from Africa that was brought over here in slavery and chains on a slave ship, you still have jurisdiction over here to proclaim your nationality as a Moorish American. Because the jurisdiction of the Moroccan Empire extended from Egypt, which is in Africa, as you call it, across the great Atlantis, which are those islands that are there today that we call the Caribbean, onto the present North, South, Central America. Noble Drew Ali brought that, and he's the prophet, so what he says, Moors better heed. And if you don't heed, then that's why we're having this discussion. The U.S. Supreme Court issues landmark decisions. So we're going to read what, now this is not what the Moors say, this is what Alex Jones is pushing. This is what Infowars.com is pushing. This is what Robert Menard is pushing. This is what David Wynn Miller is pushing. This is what all these pseudo-sovereign Europeans who have no jurisdiction in this land are pushing. That the Constitution suspended. Alright? The U.S. Supreme Court issued a landmark decision that serves to allow judges to void the Constitution in their courtrooms. Bam! So we stop right there. Right? The U.S. Supreme Court issued a landmark decision that serves to allow judges to void the Constitution in their courtrooms. Why are the judges going to be voiding the Constitution in their courtrooms? Because they're not courtrooms. They're administrative buildings, and the Constitution does not apply to them. That's why it's voided in their courtrooms. But dirty nigger Moors who don't study don't look at it this deep. Dirty nigger Moors who think that they can claim the Constitution's void and then go to court and make a constitutional argument, get arrested like Nanya did, and they get locked up and they get held, right? And nobody can't go save them, nobody can't go do anything with them or assist them in any type of way. Why? Because they decided to file a UCC1 financial statement which voided their position as a chief or a head or whatever it is that you want to call yourself. because you just contracted with an unseen face. You just gave them jurisdiction over your body. And you're playing around with people's birthright and not telling them the truth, and posting 50 million Nanya Shabu L posts on Facebook's page. That's not my page. I don't give a shit what you post. You can stay there. You could stay there till 5 in the morning posting stuff, right? I only erased some of them because it was just utterly ridiculous, but I didn't really care. That's Facebook's page. That has nothing to do with me. You can do whatever to that. You can say whatever you want on that. I don't care. That's why I say whatever I want on that, because that's just Facebook. That has nothing to do with me. But I'm going to tell you now, right? That you're hearing it from me now, that you are a fraud. And all of you Moors that wear turbans and fezzes and don't acknowledge Noble Drew Ali for being the prophet and want to claim that you're the prophet because your organization is going to do something, but when people get in adversity and they call you, the number's not working. When people get in adversity and they call you, you're making up excuses as to why you can't come be their consul. When people come to call you to get their service that they paid for, 1,500, 500, 2Gs, 5Gs, whatever, you're not available. And now when they want to take recourse and sue your ass, you change the name of your organization to something else so they can't sue you now. All these dirty Moors, their time's up, huh? The people are now going to be learning the truth and the divine truth about their nationality and birthrights. And when they learn the truth and the divine truth for studying for themselves, because Moors who are heads are telling the people that don't look at me, you better go study. Don't be calling me. Go ask the Moor that went to court yesterday what I told him. He wants me read his writs. Your writs have nothing to do with me. That's your writs. You better know what your writs say if you're going to be putting those writs into the court or the administrative building or whatever it is, whatever jurisdiction it is that you're meddling with these people in. Because they don't play. Ask Nania Shabuel. They kidnap people and they house you. Right? The Constitution cannot be suspended. How could the Constitution be suspended if there's a president right now going around the country for a position that has an oath to uphold the Constitution? Are you guys idiots? Not the nigger Moors. I'm talking about the people who come to class, the people who say that they're Moorish American, and they're listening to these clowns telling them about the Constitution suspended. And not only are you listening to these nigger Moors, you're listening to Alex Jones and these clowns, because that's where the nigger Moors are getting their concepts from, to rob you of your birthright. This decision was issued on January 18, 2011, and the court did not even explain the decision. One word: decisions denied. Presented with this information and massive proof that was not contested in any matter by the accused judges, at least 6 of the justices voted to deny the petitions. There is no legal or factualist basis, however, for the decisions of the lower courts in this matter. These rulings were issued for corrupt reasons. Many of the judges in the Northern District of Georgia and the 11th Circuit are corrupt and violate laws and rules, as they have done in this case. The Supreme Court must recognize this petition as one of the most serious matters ever presented to this court. The key questions answered negatively by the Supreme Court was whether federal courts must be stopped from operating corruptly and ignoring laws, rules, and facts. So it's not even like they're really voiding the Constitution. What they're actually doing is they're voiding the jurisdiction that the fraudulent courts were assuming and abusing people. right? The Supreme Court is saying that you don't have the power to even talk about the Constitution in your low court. It's impossible for you to take that position because they don't have the power to use the Constitution in there. They could make mention to it, but they don't have any jurisdiction over matters that are federal, the lower courts. All the lower courts have to do is do what the higher courts say to do. And if they don't do that, then they're in violation of their oath to uphold the Constitution, which these idiots are trying to tell you is voided, right? We don't have to read any more of the article, because again, that's pseudo-sovereign. We don't need nothing from those pseudo-sovereigns. But I will pull this up from this pseudo-sovereign, right? And this pseudo-sovereign says, we'll read from Dr. Schroeder contends in his book, Constitution, Fact or Fiction, the U.S. Constitution can be suspended by any president of the U.S. who ascertains and proclaims a widespread territorial revolt. This claim, however, is not sustained by the Constitution itself, which is the sole legitimate source of federal power. The writ of habeas corpus, as specified in Article 1, Section 9, is the lone provision of the Constitution which may be suspended, and even then, only in cases of rebellion or invasion. Under the Constitution, the writ could be suspended during a period of national emergency, only if the national emergency in question were a rebellion or invasion. As Rallier emphasized to the New American, the Constitution has never been suspended. Danger of rumors. The rumor of a suspended Constitution represents only the latest in what has become a labyrinth of false trails and dead ends, all with the potential to confuse and neutralize well-meaning conservatives. Mysterious executive orders prohibiting food hoarding, undue concern about yellow fringes around the American flag or the U.S. flag, and tales of Russian weather modification all damage the credibility of otherwise effective conservative activists. But the rumor that the Constitution has already been suspended delivers a double blow to the conservative movement, since this is not only patently false, but is infecting good Americans with a sense of hopelessness. If the Constitution has been suspended, then constituent pressure on Congress is useless. All checks and balances designed into our system of government no longer apply, and the government is incapable of safeguarding our God-given rights. Fortunately, as long as the Constitution still stands, any government action that is based on extra constitutional powers is ipso facto unconstitutional. What America needs are congressional declarations that expose as nullities all illegally usurped powers. In addition, the people must learn to resist the distractions of the rumor mill and instead generate constant and informed vigilance, lest their freedoms disappear at the hands of those who always claim that they mean to rule well, but who, most of all, mean always to rule. Dirty Moors that mean always to rule, that mean always to be in the front, to always be the one that is talked about, the one that's in the public eye, and not do what the prophet commanded you to do, which is enforce the Constitution. Right? This dirty nigger Moor is quoting the Prophet Noble Drew Ali, and his quote, and this is a quote, right? Because he said it. Alright, Nanya Ankh Heru El. This is how you know that you're dealing with dirty parrot on the shoulder of Noble Drew Ali, repeat stuff the Noble Drew Ali said, dirty nigger Moors. Quote, the Prophet Noble Drew Ali was correct. This is now the day and time for new Moors shall put you old Moors to the side and carry out my law, quote unquote. Noble Drew Ali said, there are going to be new Moors that are going to come in with their eyes wide open, seeing and knowing that they are going to take you old Moors and seat you in the back. Not new Moors shall put you old Moors to the side. That are going to take you old Moors, seat you in the back, and carry out my law. That's what the quote is. Right? So if I can point out a violation in his claim against Canaanland Moors, right, that he's using Noble Drew Ali as a reference point to say why we are dirty and why we're agents, and the thing that he's using to quote isn't even what Noble Drew Ali said, and that doesn't tell you something, you deserve to be enslaved by these dirty nigger Moors. If you don't study enough to know that when you read some of the stuff that these people, and I'm not even just singling these dirty Moors out, I'm talking about nigger Moors in general, across the board, that put up a front like they're active, but they don't acknowledge Noble Drew Ali. You can't be active without Noble Drew Ali. Why? Because Noble Drew Ali himself told you Moors, again, warned you Moors, divinely warned you Moors, right? That there is but one supreme issue for them to be recognized by this government of the earth. That is what all these organizations are trying to do. Be recognized by the governments of the earth so they can be the salvation of the people. Because the Moorish Science Temple of America is infiltrated, and we can't use that avenue as our salvation because it's infiltrated. If it's infiltrated and the people who are in there are claiming to be grand, whatever they say they are, but they are infiltrators and they are agents, that means that is not a Moorish Science Temple of America. That's not what Noble Drew Ali founded. Noble Drew Ali didn't found an organization for infiltrators to be in. Noble Drew Ali founded an organization for all Asiatics to proclaim their free national name and take their places amongst the affairs of men. One supreme issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish divine and national movement. Only. Their connection to the Moorish divine and national movement is what's going to get them recognized throughout the world. Noble Drew Ali said that. And again, Noble Drew Ali said that this is your movement. So if you're going to make these dirty Moors usurp your movement, when, you know, Noble Drew Ali said study, 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 but you don't want to study, you want to come on Facebook and, you know, use that as your study tool, guarantee you're going to get played and you're going to get gamed, and you might even shell out some thousands of dollars and then complain later that the Moorish, you know, Science Temple or the Moorish movement or what Noble Drew Ali brought is wrong, when that's not what's wrong. Problem is you weren't wrong, and you weren't able to see the attacks being sent at you through these dirty Moors that are scientists. We're not even talking about the Negro, black, colored organizations around us. We're talking about internally. The Moorish movement. Everybody wants to know, why is all the confusion in the Moorish movement? How come Moors can't get it together? Why? Because everybody wants to be friends with dirty Moors. And nobody wants to kick those Moors out the temple, right? And take back your position. But you can only do that as a member. You can't do that from the outside pointing in the door. You're standing at the bottom of the steps pointing in the door, that guy's a fraud. How about become a member of it? Yeah, I know it's been infiltrated. I'm a Grand Sheik. I've been through the chambers. I've been through the heavens. I know, right? That's my main study material. FBI papers. I don't care about nothing else. My main study papers is the FBI papers, because I want to know. I have memory issues. I don't remember names too well, but I want to remember the names of all these dirty Moors that infiltrated and are still around today, that are going to try to come and tell me that Constitution suspended, when I already know that I already know your foundation. I already know what temple you came out of, who Grand Sheik passed down the line. I already know. All you frauds aren't pulling no wool over Canaanland, because we have the New Caribbean files, we have the FBI papers, we have everything that you claim to, not want to touch, not want to talk about. Just keep people religious and not deal with the national aspect of the movement, when the national aspect of the movement is what's going to free these people, not because they join the Moorish Science temple, because you have the knowledge of what your birthright and your nationality is. That's what's going to save you, not because you join some people, right? That's like earlier on, when you have people like Zulu Nation making the transition from Zulu Nation to Zulu Kemetic Moors, right? Go ask Africa Bambaataa yourself how much different nationality cards and stuff they went through, going and joining up with all these other different Moorish groups that claim to be the one that is going to do something with your birthright. And then when it really comes down to it, you're just ending up doing it for yourself, because they had no intention of helping you. Their whole objective was to get your fiat. Even though they should know that it's not about fiat, right? And it shouldn't even matter. They shouldn't really be charging for anything. Even if they're gonna rob you, they shouldn't be charging you, because you're not paying them anything anyways if you pay them fiat. You're not losing, they're not gaining. So what's the sense with that exchange happening? Right? You might as well have just got the stuff for free anyways. And that's why Noble Drew Ali set it up like that, because he knew that the fraud was coming. He's a prophet. But people don't want to acknowledge that. But that's cool. You don't have to acknowledge it. But that doesn't mean that things are gonna stop happening. Right? Now, let's get to this brother Nanya now. Right? So Nanya Shabu El, right, after he did his famous Canaanland Moors lecture and decided to, talk rash about the Constitution that Noble Drew Ali said to enforce, and he's trying to make it like, he has some type of authority to put out there. He has some authority to put out there what these pseudo sovereigns are trying to push as, the reality with regard to, the fraud that's going on, and, governmental fraud and abuse of governmental powers, etc. Right? So Nanya Shabuel gets kidnapped, right? Get the call from the matriarch of their nation, right? And this is after the whole, ruffling of feathers, right in the Moorish movement in Canaanland after his lecture, right? So she's explaining to me, what happened at the court session. He went in there, they weren't hearing anything that he wanted to say. He presented all of his documents and all of his whatever he had to present for what it was, and they just straight kidnapped him, right? They kidnapped him when he walked out of the courtroom, when they weren't listening to what he was saying, right? Now, I've been in the court out here, numerous times, right? Out here, nothing gets dismissed, so, right, don't even ask what happens in the court session. But we're going to let you know right now how it goes down in Canaanland as far as court sessions, right? And that the power invested in the Supreme Court has been trickled down to the Superior Court and the provincial court and the municipal court and the kangaroo administrative courts that we go to for whatever it is that they want to deal with us on, as far as their corporate construct and having a venue where they can usurp the rights of people at the cost of administrative fees and fines, etc. Right? So, and then sometimes jail time, because just like with Nanya, right? He's locked up right now. But the people who support him, the people who push him, the people who's going to post on my page 50 things about Nanya Shabuel, they're not going to go try to get him out. How come? Because they don't know the law. They're just fronting. They're just some Moors in a group, right, that found out about some European sovereignty, whatever, and they figure, well, hey, we could put a fez on it, we can push that European sovereignty stuff. Well, it doesn't work like that. That's why this guy's locked up right now. Because the first rule that we teach in Canaanland Moors classes is that you never, ever, 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 ever walk out of a court or an administrative building if you don't hear the words dismissed or defunct and the judge walks out, right? And that's new. Defunct is new because of one of the Moors in Canaanland, right, who all he's doing is standing up on the truth about his nationality and birthrights, right? He's going through the process of knowing who he is, right? He's going through the process of learning. He's going through the process of studying, but the application, the practical application that people talk about, well, what's practical with regard to this, right? What could you apply right now? You can't tell me anything that apply. You tell me that I have to study. Well, I want to apply something right now. Okay, well, he's applying right now based on his study, not based on I'm a member of the Moorish Science Temple or whatever. Yeah, he gives honors because he knows where everything comes from, right? He recognizes the Prophet. He recognizes the grand body of Canaanland Moors. He knows that when he's in adversity, he has to call his Grand Sheikh or his Grand Mufti or somebody in the grand body first before even, like his loved ones, right? Because of the structure that we set up. And we set up that you better study. Don't even think about riding my coattails, because, I'm holding my coattails up. Nobody's not riding mine. It's either study or, play the religious side and just sit there and, refine yourself spiritually. That's cool too. You know what I mean? Right? So we teach Moors. Whenever you go into these hearings with these people that are in possession of your birthright, one, never walk out. I don't care if you're there all day and they never call you up and, you just wasted a whole day. Never ever walk out if they have that all capital letters name that they're trying to impose on you on the docket for a case that day or a trial or a hearing that day. Never ever walk out. Why don't you walk out? Because in Canaanland what they do is they ex parte the case, right? So ex parte, on one side only, by or for one party, done for, in behalf of, or on the application of one party only. So when he goes into the court as Nanya Shabuel, Nanya Shabuel isn't the name that the court has on the document. The name that the court has on the document would be an all capital letters name. I don't care if it's Nanya Shabuel, I don't care if it's full colon, Nanya, full hyphen, Shabu, full colon, L, whatever. On their paper, it's going to be written in all capital letters. So that's not you, regardless of what. That isn't you. That can't identify you, right? That's the one party that they are doing for, in behalf of, or on application of, because they have jurisdiction over that all capital letters name, right? They automatically have jurisdiction over it, no matter what you call it. So by him saying, you know what, you guys are a fraud and I'm just leaving here because you don't have any jurisdiction over me, and walk out, nothing's resolved. So they continue like nobody's there. Yeah, so, you know, Nani Shabuel here? Bam, no? Bench warrant. And now you get kidnapped. Right? And then you messed yourself up, just like many other Moors, right? This is why I say that if you, the only individual who I know on the record, right? I'm putting this on the record right now, right? The only individual I know who has successfully used the application of the UCC1 filing is Alim El Bey and Kadira El Bey. That's the only people who I know that I talk to, as far as Moors are concerned, that if you want to deal with UCCs, go talk to them, because they know what they're doing with regard to that, right? With regard to that UCC filing jurisdiction, right? I can attest that Alimbe is adept in that aspect, right? Because I've seen his demonstration on the UCC, and it works, right? We personally don't mess with it because we're Moorish Science Temple of America, right? Like we were talking about in the other class. He's not Moorish Science Temple of America. He's Moorish Holy Temple of Science. So that's a totally different jurisdiction. We're Moorish Science Temple of America, right? The civic, religious organization, Rotarian complex that has a certain obligation to the people, right? And our obligation to the people is to address Noble Jew Ali and who he is and what he brought to them, right? And to be humanitarian in our approach with regard to the exercising of the Moorish Divine and National Movement, right? And our job and our duty is to put the truth out there, because we are new Moors as far as Canaanland, right? We talk about this. We talk about the fact that Bobby Hemmett came here, right? Bobby Hemmett himself came here and said that Toronto is a vortex that people need to recognize and acknowledge, right? Because he was blown away when he came here. Black Dot said it on the blog talk a couple days ago, right? That he was blown away when he came here. If you ask Griff will tell you that he was blown away when he came here. If you ask Kabahaya, he'll tell you that he was blown away when he came here. If you ask Sister Zakina, the Nuwapian Moors, they'll be blown. She'll say that they were blown away when they came here. If you ask Brother Asana Akachi and Queen Mother Imaku, they'll tell you that when they came here, they were blown away, right? And it's not nothing about us. It's about the jurisdiction where we're at, right? We're surrounded by the 5 Great Lakes, which are atomic lakes, which were built with atomic power by the ancient Moabites who were in this land. Canaanland is an integral part of the Moroccan Empire, Northwest of Exum. You haven't been told. And people think that because we're in Canaanland, we don't know anything about Moorish nationality and we're not connected, right? Just like they thought that about the brother in the Netherlands, that he doesn't know nothing, so they could just take advantage of him, because who's he going to reach out to? He's in the Netherlands. Well, that's why we put our number out there. That's why we put our website out there. That's why you could get a hold of myself, Mufti, anybody in Canaanland, Grand Body, if you need some assistance where you are in your territory. because we have an obligation to people who want to be active and want to take civic activity, right? We'll tell you some stuff if you're on the religious side, the divine side, but that's not what it's about for us. We're about activity, and only through activity, right, only through study are we going to know really what's going on, right? So this was put it out there so people can know, people can see that there's people in turbans and fezzes that lie to you. There's people in turbans and fezzes that do not have what you have in your heart for Noble Drew Ali, and to put out there is not what is going on in the Moorish movement. Because again, right, you have Moors. Grand Sheikh Nature talked about this in the lecture that he did with Taj, right? That there's people who are heads in the Moorish movement that aren't qualified to even be in that position, but people are following them because they say some stuff, right? Like Nanya Shabu El is a student of David Wynn Miller. David Wynn Miller is a European pseudo-sovereign that made a claim on the Amity and Commerce banner as his, for his quote-unquote society or organization as a European, which he has a right to do, because that Amity and Commerce banner is a banner. It's not a flag. Anybody could claim that. That's why they used it for Liberia. Stripes with stars. Once you see that, you already know what the jurisdiction is. You don't even have to question it. Right? David Wynn Miller is a European pseudo-sovereign, no different than all these other European pseudo-sovereigns who are claiming portions of the Moorish science, the Moorish jurisprudence, the Moorish civics, the Moorish law, and applying it to themselves in order to free themselves from the powers that be, the government, which is the same thing that their forefathers, the 13 colony pseudo-Europeans, did when they came here. And what were they doing? They were escaping the powers that be, the government, which was called the monarchy in Europe. So it's the same thing. History repeats itself. These pseudo-sovereign Europeans are the same 13 colony Europeans, just in 2012, usurping your birthright. And you're letting them. And they have agents with fezzes on. That's helping them usurp your birthright. And you don't want to claim it because you think that Moors are Arabs from Europe, when it's your birthright. And Noble Drew Ali said it's your birthright. That's why we push Noble Drew Ali. But people, oh, well, I don't know, it's repetitive. He keeps saying you're not black, you're not black, you're not black. Like, is that the only lesson? Like, what do you mean? It's 2012. People still call themselves Negro, black, and colored today in 2012, plus many other names that didn't even exist in that time. Which means that they could have no power now. If they didn't even exist when Noble Drew Ali is around, what would he be saying today if he was around? You're not Negro, black, colored, African American, African Canadian, Caribbean, West Indian, African. He'll go down the list of everything, and we'll be sitting there, and that would be the start of the temple meeting, sitting down listening to all the labels that we're not. That's going to be the demonstration if he was around today. We're not going to be dealing with the law or nothing. We have to get rid of all these labels first that all these people attach to themselves, thinking that they're freeing themselves. When Noble Drew Ali said, yo, you're Moorish American. Like, why are you claiming something else? Why are you making up stuff? Why are you making up your Ahatsic nation when you have when you have an empire? Like, you have an empire, you're giving up the empire to create your own nation. in 2011 or 2010 or 1987 when the Moorish Empire is ancient, and you're going to abandon that to come claim something that you created because you think that you had a brilliant idea to help your people, so you started an organization, and then now that's what everybody's supposed to jump behind when you're not even established, you're nobody. And on top of that, the Prophet said, if you're going to get recognized, you got to put him up front. And none of you people out there, so-called conscious Moors, whether you call yourself black, whatever, don't put the Prophet up front. The only people doing that is the religious Moors and the active Moors. Right? That's it. As far as putting the Prophet up front. Everybody else is looking at the Prophet like, whatever. But when you go around the world and you talk to other people, they say, they have a Prophet. Oh yeah? Okay. What did he teach? Oh yeah, he taught principles. Law, governmental principles. True religion. Alright. Astrology and all that. Know who you are. Study nature to know yourself. You're all around the world. Right? We talked about it in class. People, church people. People are going to be going into a square building for church, when the etymology of church goes back to circle. And real church is supposed to be a circular building. Because church comes from circle. Right? So there's a lot of confusion out there. Lots of confusion. And the confusion is concrete in people's mentality. Right? And it took a mastermind to free the people from that mental position. And that mastermind was Noble Drew Ali. So we challenge people to study him. I don't care what Grand Sheiks told you or what you heard from them. Right? Forget what you even heard us say about the Prophet. You go study him for yourself. Right? Everything's on the website. And there's many Moors out there, including dirty Moors, that have Noble Drew Ali's information on their website, that you can go read what he said themselves. Right? You can go make a request to the Copyright Office. Go make a request to the Library of Congress to go get some information on the Moors. Right? People don't really know how big the sellout is. Now, if something's in the paper, right, we have to make acknowledgement of that. That if it's in a paper, right? So in the Chicago Daily Tribune, March 6, 1935, right? Chicago Daily Tribune, right? 43 of Moor order held by police. Right? Remember, this is after the Prophet passed. Right? Okay? This is information that's out there. You can find online, print it out, and read about what happened in the Moorish movement after Noble Drew Ali passed. Because dirty Moors were trying to usurp the Prophet's fame and nobility, right? And cause more confusion than anything else. Right? Meanwhile, at this time, remember, people like the Nation of Islam and these people are gaining momentum, because when you see this type of stuff in the paper, right, members of Moorish order held by police, you're definitely not going to affiliate yourself with anything Moorish, right? You're not going to affiliate yourself with anything Moorish because of what we spoke about earlier, using propaganda to cause dissension amongst the members. And the members is the nation in this case. So not only are you being attacked by people on the inside, you're also being attacked by people in the news who's telling you these things about Moors and having you basically go with it, thinking that that's really what it is. Because we look toward the paper or the newspaper as legitimate, right? Cult fights police in court. So we're not even talking about, we're talking about Moors are in the court now, brawling, rioting, right? This is newspaper articles, just so you can know the type of confusion that was going on in the Moorish movement, that you might not go out there and go research and find out what was going on, right? Okay, these are for little stupid bickering arguments that Moors are having amongst each other, which is going on today. This is the same thing, right? It's the same thing, no different. After the Prophet passed, because Moors didn't study and they put all their allegiance in the heads, and the heads they had no intention of doing anything for this Moorish movement because they already took the check, right? Riot discloses Moorish cult's growth in the US. So not only did these riots and things like that bring attention to the Moorish movement, but it also showed the capacity of the Moorish movement. This is like 1930s again, remember, right? This is after the Prophet passed, right? This is 5 years into the founding of the Nation of Islam, right? And you have to remember, part of propaganda is divert attention, because if you can divert attention and have people run in another direction opposed to facing their problem, right, then you pretty much have them beat. Because all you have to do now is, before you create the distraction or the diversion, set up where you want the people to run. And everybody ran right into everything Negro black colored and abandoned everything that was Moorish, right? And what's that? That's Inquisition practices, point blank. That's directly Inquisition practices. So these people that are trying to tell you that constitutions are suspended, you can't listen to duRty because that's old stuff, you should come into our organization because our organization is the real organization to help you, they're lying to you. duRty brought you your salvation. He brought it for you. Whether you want it or not is up to you. And again, you know what I mean, this is not about, you know, in order to be a Moor you have to have a fez on. Like, I never seen blue pill or red pill in a fez ever, and they go hard on Moorish knowledge, very hard. They go harder than some people in fezes. Why? Right? Why? Because just like us, they were taught from the right perspective about the Moorish movement, and they know that it's theirs. You think they're putting out all these Soul Glow water and Kings County or whatever because they're just black guys that want to put out some clothing? No, like, they're Moors. That's commerce. That's what Moors do. Moors trade. You know, it's just an abomination when people don't want to go with this. Most Def told y'all, don't call me Most Def. My name's Yasin Bey now. There's people still Most Def, and in brackets Yasin Bey. That's violations, right? But they didn't do that with Muhammad Ali. We talk about this all the time because people seem not to get it, that everybody's known about Moorish nationality and birthrights, and everybody around you is doing it. Everybody around you is doing it. Everybody. You know, why do you think they're gonna have, you know, Will Smith in Wild Wild West and the Spider-Man is telling me he's a blackamoor in the movie? Wild Wild West movie, right? Telling me he's a handsome blackamoor. Will Smith. You think these people don't know? Right? You know, these people pushing Scientology on the NOI. Why are they pushing Scientology on the NOI? Because Nation of Islam is Moorish Science, and they've abandoned the science aspect. Scientology is Moorish Science, an aspect, a sliver of Moorish Science is what Scientology is. A sliver of Moorish Science is what occult is. A sliver of Moorish Science is what Catholicism is, and what Judaism is, and what Islam is. Moorish Science is all encompassing, and if you don't study, you're not going to know that. If you don't address the world, if you don't address the people of the world, the international community that you see in your jurisdictions every day, if you don't address them as a Moor, they would never talk to you. There's a brother, he doesn't like having friends because he knows about dirty Moors that wanna, they're Moors, loyal noble duRty, and then tomorrow they're posting some fat ass girl picture, and then they're posting some fat European lady in a bikini, right? This is what Facebook is for. That's why I'm gonna go on there, I'm gonna call y'all niggers, I'm gonna swear at you guys, because that jurisdiction doesn't matter, right? Our position is get the information out to hopefully get them to send an email and get the hell off Facebook and go study. Anybody who comes message me, go study. I don't want to if you have a question, I'm going to show you where to go get the answer so you can study. I'm not telling you anything. Go ask anybody who ever messaged me about anything, right? Like, it's not a game. It's real simple. Add El or Bay on your name, right? But do not think that you can hold a position of a head in this movement and lie to people about their nationality and birthrights. Because again, Nanya Shabu El right now is locked up because he went against the Prophet. You could listen to me, huh? The things on the record, everything that he said about every single active position that every one of the Moorish master teacher elders that teach what Noble duRty taught and tell the people and command them and challenge them to go research and study what Noble duRty brought them. He violated all those people with his rhetoric, with his claims of being in a position of power when you're locked up right now. And then you have these idiots, Nanya, Ankh, El, and these goofs that follow these frauds doing the same thing that they're doing, right? Pushing the fraud, pushing the sellout, right? Because all they're doing is creating separation. But people's concept of what separation, how are they creating separation, right? Because they're separating themselves from what's really the Moorish movement. Don't get it twisted when people have, there's confusion in the Moorish movement. But there's no confusion amongst the Adepts and the active Moors. Like me and active Moors build every day. We have no problems, no disagreements about nothing. We're progressive in our activity, right? Don't be fooled that when the statement is made, there's so much confusion in the Moorish movement, I don't want to be part of that. That's everybody in the movement. That confusion is only amongst the ones that aren't on the national side. That confusion isn't amongst the Moors that deal with things on national principles, right? I can call Jelani Bey anytime that I want to. We're in totally different territories. And we'll have conversations like we know each other 10, 15 years. Why? Because we're dealing with things on principles. We're not dealing with things on what color is your fez, what color is my fez, let me see your charter, I want to see if you're really who you say you are. No, this has nothing to do with all that stuff. It has to do with, do you study? If you study, you would know automatically who is for the Prophet, who is not for the Prophet. Majority of people don't study, which is why we're putting this out, so people could know that there's people lying. There's people telling you the Constitution is suspended when that's an impossibility. They cannot suspend the Constitution because they are not the ones that created it. Right? It was a union that created the Constitution, so only the union could dissolve it. And the Moors, Prophet said enforce the Constitution. And he's the only real sovereign grand commander that has the power to dissolve it, and he's not here to do that. So it's like, it is what it is. If you don't enforce it, no problem, right? It's not a problem if you don't enforce the Constitution. Just know that you're going to be attacked. Look at Nanya. Use him as the example. He came out of his own mouth that the Constitution suspended, right? And then after that, he gets locked up. Doesn't that tell you something? You don't think that these guys are watching Canaanland Moors? They're watching Canaanland Moors. Don't think that they're not watching what Canaanland Moors are doing, right? Don't think they're not watching our classes. Don't think that because you don't know anything about Canaanland, you never heard about it, that the Moorish activity here is void or non-existent or has no power because you never heard about it before, right? There's mounds in Toronto. There's indigenous Aboriginal mounds in Toronto with indigenous monuments on them, right? In the wintertime they might use that as a tobogganing hill, but there's something there, right? To prove that there were people here, and on the plaque, on the monument, it's going to say, yeah, this is the Iroquois people's stuff. They've been here before the European settlers came here and all that, right? So it's not like they don't know. The problem is dirty Moors, niggers with fezzes, niggers with turbans, niggers with dashikis and cultural wear, lie to the people and not tell them the truth about their national birthrights, indirectly and directly. More so indirectly, because majority of people just follow the agent sellout frauds who get locked up, right? And have no recourse, no remedy. She called me. Nanya Shabu El's wife called me personally, called me on my phone to tell me that he got arrested, right? And then I'm going to tell her, first of all, that's what you get because you guys are talking crap and trying to make it like you're what it is when that's not what it is, right? This is proof that that's not what it is. Look at what he's going through for what he did, right? Tell him, make sure, this is me telling his wife, make sure you tell him that his job in there is to teach everything that he knows. His job is not to go in there and sulk and whatever. His job is to go in there, right, and to teach everybody that he comes in contact with, even at the risk of getting his ass kicked for putting the truth out there. Because this I told her, Taj was locked up, and the reason why they kicked Taj out of prison when he got kidnapped is because he was inside teaching, and he was inside showing people how to write wits. You know truth language? Okay, how about show people truth language then, since you're in there. Start some classes, get some people writing writs, because truth language is very advanced, so good luck with that. Or you could follow Noble Drew Ali's program, teach the people that they're not Negro, black, colored, right, and have them, when they go to court, presenting what you teach them, instead of trying to write a writ in some truth language that they don't even know. For them, they don't even know what the hell that is. They don't even know what they're reading, right? Because the truth language that David Wynne Miller created, which is a European sovereign pseudo usurper of Moorish birthrights, teaches people to study his truth language, quantum language. And his quantum language is going to take your 4-page writ and make it into some 60-page document, right? This is what they practice, right? Told her, if you call yourself a nation, then you're his consul. He should be calling you to tell you to bring the writ of habeas corpus, oh, no, that's suspended, so you can't use that. That's what's suspended. Constitution not suspended. So since the writ of habeas corpus is suspended, telling her what you have to do, since you're the matriarch of your nation and he's the chief of your nation, he has to call you and you have to go as counsel for him and make the claim that he is not in their jurisdiction for them to release him into your custody as counsel in the court session, right? But he's still locked up. But then, you know, people are going to be pushing everything that Nanya talked about. You know, they're going to be pushing all this information. Nanya sued the queen. Nanya did this. Nanya did that. Nanya got this phone call from somebody. Nanya called somebody and challenged them on their authority of whatever. Yeah, all that's cool. Thanks. But why do you walk out the court and ex parte? That's basic. You never walk out the court. Why don't you walk out the court? Look at court documents, right? This court documents. This is my court document, right? It's right here. Okay, Her Majesty the Queen versus Kevin S. McCletchy, the straw man, all capital letters. See that, right? But then when you go down to appearances, what does it say in appearances, right? Kudro Ado L, ex-relation, Kevin McCletchy, right? And then when you go through the whole thing, all you see is Kudro Ado L. You don't see the name of the corporate entity, even though, for the record, in this document, they made Kudro Ado L a corporate entity in order for the court to deal with the actual living being, because it's kangaroo court. So you're going to have to compromise some of your status in order to get your status on the record through the paperwork that you would file when you go set up your court date, and you know, because you have to put something on the record. You can't just go in there and talk out of your mouth, right? So we utilize ex-relation for a reason, right? We utilize don't walk out the court, because once you put your status on the record, now it's up to them to put theirs. And if they don't, you know that they're colored, you know that they're a fraud, and they're going to do everything that they want to do to you, whether you like it or not. So you just stay there, you take it, you document everything that they're doing, you go get the transcripts, and then you sue them later, because they are a low-level administration building exercising the constitutionally granted powers of a Supreme Court as a quasi-court, and that's fraud. And I told Diani L that that's her suit, and that's what she as an individual is going to have to do, because one day they kidnapped your chief, two, it's your husband, so like that's directly related to you, right? And I hope that they're working on the suit. But Canaanland has done our part, right? We didn't hang up on her because she's coming to us, and you know there's people who left the rank, right, because of what her husband said to our members when we opened the forum for them to come here and present some information, you know, and they tried, not even they, because she sincerely called me, you know what I mean, let me know what happened. So I respect that, right, and I honor that, and I let her know that, you know, we will do whatever that we can do. But remember, he said himself that he can't help us or anybody on this side if we are contracted with Canaanland Moorish Science Temple of America. We have to dissolve that contract. And it's the same position that we're in with him. that we can't assist you, we can't do anything for you because you went yourself and filed or contracted with an unseen face that we don't even know we don't even know anything, right? So the best thing to do is you're in the belly of the beast, like Taj says, then just teach everything that you know, even at the risk of your life, because the truth is going to come out anyways, and we're going to come back here anyways to get certain work done if, you know, we didn't get it done in this life, right? It's not a thing of Canaanland Moors isn't supporting, or Canaanland Moor isn't trying to help Brother Nanya Shabuel. It's these Moors that are outside, that aren't locked up, that aren't doing anything to help him, first of all, but then they want to criticize us for not doing anything when, you know, you can speak to his wife. We've done what we can do. If we could do more, we'll do it. But he's the chief of his own nation. So if you're a chief of your own nation, then what do you need anybody else for? I mean, you know, if you call yourself a nation, then there should be somebody there to assist you, right? Do not let yourself be fooled by people because you didn't study. If you get taken advantage of, if you say I want to find out about Moors, and you connect with somebody and they tell you, yeah, Moors is, you know, just come join our organization, we'll teach you classes, we'll do everything for you, whatever, right? They tell you everything that you want to hear and it sounds real good, and they give you a fee to pay in order for you to get this information in these books and whatever and all that stuff, and you buy all that stuff, and now you have all this stuff in your possession called, you know, your freedom package and whatever. Throw it in the garbage can, because people can't sell you your birthright, and if you buy your birthright, you're in violation, not them. That's just the law, right? If I'm driving down the street and I park my car somewhere, and then you jump in my car, and then you get stopped by the police in my car, and there's 5 bodies in the trunk, now you got 5 bodies that you have to deal with, right? Because you jumped into a jurisdiction that had nothing to do with you. And that's how we get trapped. So do not jump into jurisdictions. Know what your status is. Know that jurisdiction is a broad subject matter, and somebody saying U.S. in a conversation instead of saying United States of America Republic, and you not stop them and say, oh, do you mean U.S. the corporation, or do you mean U.S. you know this, or do you mean USA or U.SA? If you don't clarify that, they're going to put you in a fraudulent jurisdiction, and you're not even going to know that you're in a fraudulent jurisdiction until your back's against the wall, and then you want to get on Moorish nationality and studying and calling people and trying to find out about Moorish nationality because your back's against the wall. When you were chilling, you know, on Facebook, messaging people, looking at fat girl asses, you should have been interested in Moorish nationality and birthrights and studying then. Right? You're not supposed to wait till you get in a situation and then get on nationality and birthrights, and then when that situation is done and it works, you go back to your dead status to do nigger stuff, which is what these niggers are doing in Fezes. Because if you're up in 2 o'clock in the morning messaging me, you're on some homo nigger shit. Thank you very much, Islam Moors.